Huh?
Michael Vick here at BetUS.com. Get it all. Huge bonuses, great odds, a race book, live in-game betting, and a casino. BetUS, my online sports book and casino.
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, Timothy J. Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Happy Friday to you. Hope everybody is having a good Friday. Some of us are going to have a very long weekend. Of course, we know this is Labor Day weekend. And I'm excited to do this show. I apologize. I didn't do a podcast on yesterday. Some of you that may follow the State of the Saints podcast, you already know that I not only do this podcast, but I also do several other podcasts. But one thing I do in particular that takes up my time during the college football season is I cover Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina had a game last night versus Jacksonville State. Beat the brakes off them real quick, 55-27. The Shants come out the gate. Man, they looking real hot, man. So shouts out to the Chanticleers and the Sun Belt Conference, man. So I didn't do a show yesterday. Know a lot of things happened, but we're back talking New Orleans Saints. On this edition, we're going to be talking about the Saints getting healthy at the right time. Some familiar faces return to practice. And we're also going to be talking about the Saints adding to the interior, as well as adding a former LSU Tiger, something that we all like, to the team as well. But let's go ahead and get into it. First off, I want to give a shout out to everybody in the chat right now. Shouts out to Grizzo. Shouts out to Sid, Jerry, Dana, M. Dot, Jag, Big Velly, King Arthur in the building. We got Daniel as well. And I want to let everybody know once again, I will be at the Little Easy Restaurant, Week 1, Saints versus Panthers. We'll be doing a pregame and postgame show at the Little Easy Restaurant, 635 Julia Street in New Orleans. So if you're going to the game, you want to get something to eat before the game, or you just want to stop by, man, we're going to be kicking that off like around 10 a.m., man. Around 10 a.m., we're going to be kicking it off during the postgame. Going to be doing it kind of the same format that we normally do it every single year. The only difference is we're going to be live on location. I'm extremely excited about it. It's just a testament to how hard we work here on the State of the Saints podcast to be able to now go out into the community, go out into the field, and actually do some things. And I'm very proud of that because you know, it's been a lot of hard work, and you already know the State of the Saints podcast. We don't have corporate backing. We don't have all those things that other people have, but we are a small entity, but we work extremely hard, and this is one of those little victory laps that we can take. So shouts out to everybody for making that possible through your hard work, through your listenership, through sharing the podcast. And also, man, we're starting to catch a little bit of steam here, man. Shouts out to everybody that's came over from X, part of Saints Twitter, found the State of Saints podcast. Really do appreciate you as well. We're a very interactive podcast. If this is your first time listening, all you have to do is put your comments in the chat. And yes, I think I'm going to go ahead and yes, I'm going to play that song. Hey, what's going on? It's TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast, and we're about to do what it do, baby. You probably have something to say about the black and gold that's burning hard in your soul. Take those fingers, give them the working. Put them comments in the chat.
Put those comments, put them in the chat.
All you got to do is go ahead and put them things in the chat.
I want to hear what you got to say.
I want to hear from you.
Talk to me and not so bad.
Oh, you ain't got to worry about it. All you got to do is talk to me. I talk back to you now.
Put those comments, put them in the chat.
All you got to do is put them comments in the chat.
I want to hear what you got to say.
I want to hear from you.
Talk to me and not so bad.
Talk to me. I guarantee you, I'm going to talk right back to you. Yes, all you got to do is put those comments in the chat, and want to give a special shout out to all those that can't make it, probably taking part in this long extended Labor Day weekend, probably getting your whistle wet a little early, or probably just at work, not gotten off yet, or probably doing something else, and probably didn't get an opportunity to catch this show live. Shouts out to them after show boys.
Shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out to them after show boys. Shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out to them after show boys. They be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting. Yeah, them after show boys. They be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting. Yeah, them after show boys.
Shouts out to all them after show boys, after show girls out there that's listening and will listen. But let's go ahead and get into it. Let's talk a little bit about some of the Saints moves that they made throughout the last couple of days. Now, on yesterday, the New Orleans Saints, they made a trade with the Washington Commanders, and they made a trade for defensive tackle John Ridgeway III. John Ridgeway III came into the NFL. Well, matter of fact, let me go ahead and pull up this graphic that I created. I don't want to take it for granted. So who is John Ridgeway the third? Well, Johnny Ridgeway, he started his career at Illinois State, transferred to Arkansas in 2021, was a 5th-round pick in the 2022 NFL draft by the Dallas Cowboys, signed on with the Commanders, and was traded to the Saints in exchange for a 6th-round pick. The Saints also get a 7th-round pick along with Johnny Ridgeway. So that's who Johnny Ridgeway is, and he's a guy, man. Seems like he's pretty tough, man. He seems like he's a blue-collar guy. It'll be interesting to see if him and Trevor Penning ever locked horns there. That ought to be an interesting fight right there. It seems like, he brings a little bit of nastiness to the interior, and I feel like that's something that the Saints need. He's a really good run stopper. He works really hard. Not the most athletic big man that you're going to see, but he has that lunch pail mentality. And he also even talked about that when was asked by the media, what does he bring to the New Orleans Saints? And this is what he said.
Definitely like a blue-collar mentality. Like, I'm going to bring my hard hat and lunch pail every day to work. So that's what I plan on bringing. It's just a good mindset and good attitude to attack the day. And whatever happens, happens. I can live with it.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's a guy that, like I said, has a lunch pail mentality, and I got appreciation for that. Look, I understand what the Saints are trying to do. Number one, it seems like the team is trying to get younger, which I think that we all agree that they needed to do, getting some of these younger guys in here. Number two, it just seems like they're trying to be a developmental team. And Dennis Allen, like him or not, has done a really good job at developing defensive players. And if the New Orleans Saints, they can utilize some of these players that they're getting as undrafted guys, mixed in with some of these draft picks who you haven't paid yet, you can actually make some noise. And I know it's not the way that everybody likes it to be. We like our names. We like people to come in with cachet. But at the end of the day, if you can develop guys and make them into what you need them to be, organization guys, it's a plus. I think that they trust Dennis Allen to develop defensive players. I think that they need a little bit more depth on the offensive side of the football, but they feel like with Alvin Kamara leading the charge, them being more of a run-first team, not putting it into the hands of Derek Carr, it would probably serve as, a benefit to the offense until, things start to turn around. I really honestly feel like the Saints are trying to get back to the middle of the cap. That explains why they haven't had any extravagant expenses. That's the reason why, some of us have to look at Wikipedia and all to find the guys that they're picking up. I don't have an issue with that as long as these guys can play. I think that, some of these guys are talented. I've watched them on a collegiate level. Some of these players I have grown to know, just like each and every one of you. But, if you can actually put this thing together, you can make it very, very interesting. And I think the Saints also understand that the defense is going to have to be the catalyst for this team until the offense figures it out. You have a new offensive coordinator in Clint Kubiak. You bring him in. I think that the Saints are going to be effective offensively, especially running the football and having a little bit more physicality up front, playing into the strengths of your offensive line. A lot of these guys lack in pass protection, but if you're not trying to throw the ball all over the place in games, I think that these guys can make some things work. This is a team that is trying to make sure that their defense is stout enough in order to keep them in games, just in case the offense starts off stagnant and slow. You give them more opportunities to get the ball back into their hands and give them opportunities to be able to score. All the while they're trying to figure it out, you have a defense that can generate some turnovers and also get pressure on the quarterback. So if all these things can fall into place for the New Orleans Saints, I think they'll be just fine. I think that, and I think T-Bob Abear said this, and I think he had a very interesting point. He was speaking on off the bench. He said, we have a tendency of believing that a team isn't good if their offense isn't good, because we have grown accustomed to feeling like our offense has to lead the charge in order for a team to be effective. But once upon a time, before these offenses start, coming out here with all these exotic plays and all of this, all of this mad scientist, rest in peace to Jeff Leach. What was the guy named? Mike Leach, excuse me. Rest in peace to Mike Leach. He was known as the mad scientist, coming up with all these different plays and all these different things. That people were talking about, like, man, this is what offense is starting to go into. This started what the trend is starting to be. And now everybody just feels like if your offense isn't generating 50 points, then that means that you are not a good football team. But I just feel like your team can be led by defense. I don't have an issue with that. I don't feel like all hope is lost because you don't have a top 5 offense. As a matter of fact, I'd rather a team have a really good defense over a really good offense. I mean, if you have a middle of the pack offense and a lights out top 5 defense, I think you would be okay. You still can find yourself as a playoff team. And I think that the Saints still have a really good chance, despite the fact of the morale within the Who Dat Nation. I just think that, we look at what we have at quarterback, what we have as a head coach, and we just feel like all hope is lost. But I'm one of those people, I just got to see it. If the Saints fall short, then I will fall in line. But I just can't see a team that, win 9-8, and we felt like the offense was the one that let the team down, and you improve your offense, and, we feel like all of a sudden we just going to win 5 games. I just don't understand that. I think the Saints are still going to be competitive in a relatively weak division. I just think that these division foes have a lot to work to do themselves, and I can't see the Saints just falling by the wayside. I think they're still going to be competitive until I'm proven otherwise. That's how I feel. Now I know how some people may think that, in the back of their mind, they're waiting on this team to fail because they don't like who's in charge, and they feel like that's the only way he's going to get up out of here. But I'm not trying to see my team suck at the expense of some, a head coach. Like I'd rather the Saints, make the playoffs. I'd rather the Saints win 10 games. Like I don't want to see this team just fall by the wayside. I have a feeling that, the what they say, the cream is always going to rise to the top here. It's always going to end up in your favor. So if this guy can't coach, it's only a matter of time before everybody figure it out. So in the meantime, you can put together a really good defense, and you can put together a solid offense, and you can run the football, come up with some different type of offensive plays in order to make yourself not just one dimensional like you have been over the last couple of years. So that's just the way that I feel about that. And we'll stop right there, and I'll read some of your comments. So once again, rest in peace to Mike Leach. I don't know why I was just thinking about although Robert Leach it was in my head. I had an old district manager, shouts out to Jeff Leach. He dropped me out here. I'm like, Mike Leach. Yeah, Mike Leach. Coached at Mississippi State, coached at Washington State, coached at Texas Tech when he had Michael Crabtree. I'll never forget that game when I want to say they played against Texas, and they end up winning because Michael Crabtree broke free. That was one of my favorite football games right there, man. So shouts out to the Texas Tech Red Raiders during that time, man. That was a pretty exciting team. And Mike Leach, he was an offensive innovator. 52 watching this, only 8 likes, smash the like button. Yeah, if you like the content, please hit the like button. We trying to grow as a channel, and I really would appreciate that if everybody just hit the like button. If everybody just hit the like button, I think we'll be all right. I think we'll be cool. I think we'll be straight. All right. But yeah. And what I'm probably gonna do is let's see. Nah, I won't be able to do it. I was gonna add the Gumbo Pie Sports Podcast channel to this because I was going to talk a little bit about some of the things that I seen last night towards the end of the show, but I'll just wait. And after this show, I'll go over to the Gumbo Pie. So if anybody is interested in hearing about what happened last night as far as college football, talking about that, come on over to the Gumbo Pie Sports Podcast. We'll talk about that for a few minutes. Let's see. Joey said, hey, TJ, just a question. Why are we not trying to help the offensive line? Well, Joey, I think they want to help the offensive line, but you don't want to just put anybody in there, right? You want it to make sense. And, the reality is there's nobody on the street right now that's just going to come in and just going to change the fortunes of your offensive line. Most times, if you have a guy on the offensive line, teams are going to keep that guy around, or they're going to use them as trade leverage in order to try to capitalize on a draft pick or get a player that can actually serve a purpose for their team. But at this stage, man, everybody pretty much has the really good, the good, and the average offensive line, rather they're rotation guys, rather they're starters. It'll be hard, man, unless you get somebody off the street. And most of the guys that are on the street, they have a reputation of getting hurt. So it's rather, you're going to still have to go back to that person more than likely around week 6, week 7, if that person that you replace them with goes down. So you want the help, but you also want it to make sense. You don't want to just put anybody in there. And you definitely don't want to just put somebody there and then they end up getting hurt. And then the next thing you know, you still having the same issues because that guy that you replace, well, he has to play now. Are we just keeping the O-line thin to set up the next scapegoat? I don't think so, man. I don't think it's anything like that. Like I said, I just think it has everything to do with the fact that they ain't really got too many people out there. And trust, Jack, I'm with you on that because I mentioned that on X. I said, why is it that they're trying to go after guys like Ridgeway? I have no issue with Ridgeway. I think that the guy has a really good motor. I think that he has a really good mean streak, something I feel like he can bring to the table and help the defense from a psychological standpoint. But I just feel like offensive line is what they need. But I don't want to just get an offensive lineman for the simple fact of just needing an offensive line, because you'll find yourself in the same position yet again. No disrespect, but if is not good enough. Yeah, I mean, if is not good enough, but at the same time, we don't know what happens. Like, we get ourselves all worked up about stuff that we don't even know is going to happen. Like, we got an idea about what would happen, but we don't know that for sure. A lot of us stress ourselves out because we think that we know what's going to happen or things are going to end up being bad. And then we realize that things aren't what they seem. So I don't know, man. I don't want to be one of those people that just like, oh Lord, man, we ain't gonna be nothing, man. We gonna suck. Like, I don't buy into the dirt sheets, folks. I don't buy into what some other fan base is saying about me. You know, we talk about that stuff all the time, and I have nothing but respect for some of these journalists and stuff like that, especially like getting into it. I know how hard they have to work in order for them to get in the positions that they're in, but for the most part, they don't know what the hell they be talking about. They don't. Like, a lot of them like find out through social media. Some of them find out because their interns tell them about these things, they personal assistants or what have you. They don't know anything about Saints football. And the people that's really going in on you and talking about you and saying that the Saints aren't going to be anything, they got those cliff notes from those individuals. I don't look at those individuals to try to tell me about Saints football. Like, their opinions are about as broad, as the street that you drive down in New Orleans. Like, it's pretty broad there, man. You're like, they don't know what they're talking about. If you ask them anything deeper about the team, they couldn't tell you, except on like the surface, what's on the surface, like a Alvin Kamara contract or Derek Carr or something like that. Like, they don't know like the ins and outs of this team. So how can they tell you how to think and feel about your own football team? Like, we know about teams always get bad. They bad every single year. And they predict them to be bad every single year, I should say. And then the next thing you know, oh, this team is flirting with the playoffs. Like, I don't buy that. Like, I just think that you're getting yourself all riled up. Stay away from all those talking heads. They're really good at what they do. That's the reason why they make the big bucks, but they don't know what the hell they talking about, man. Like, if you listening to, some of these reporters that are on the ground, like my guy Ross Jackson, like the Nick Underhills and the Mike Triplets and the those type of guys who work extremely hard to try to give you guys a understanding about what these players are thinking and getting to know these players on a personal level where they can give that information to you. Those are the individuals I feel like, you need to be listening to, not some talking head that's inside, a room with a LED, logo in the background, talking loud and screaming to the top of their lungs, with different type of camera angles and looking all crazy and stuff like that. Like, they've been up for about 36 hours. Like, come on, man. Like, we're smarter than that. Like, a lot of us are football people. I don't need to tell y'all that, man. I ain't the only football person that's on here right now. I got the microphone, but y'all in the chat, y'all watch football. Some of y'all watch more football than me. And y'all know that teams have to line up every single Sunday. And we know that no matter how trash the team is, they can beat the best team on any given Sunday. And we also don't know what these teams look like. We see these names on the back of these jerseys, and all of a sudden we feel like we should have this intimidation factor about us. Oh, man, we got this person. He was all pro. We got this person. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because if you go in there with that mentality like, I'm about to win this football game, that's the start right there. But, you can't have just a defeated attitude because you don't like the quarterback, the coach, and everybody's telling you that the Saints going to be third or last in the division. Like, if it happens, then I will adjust accordingly. But I'm not going to get upset about something I haven't seen yet. Do I get upset at some of the decisions that the Saints made? Yes. Do they not make sense at times? Absolutely. But people want me to like really like lambaste, like just completely destroy and eviscerate this team with nothing, like with no substance behind it. Like, a lot of my opinions are based on the things that I see, but it's hard for me to actually make, like get upset or get frustrated about something that I have not seen yet. But if I can see it, then, that's a whole nother story. If you see it, it's a whole nother story. No, I'm not telling you how to feel about your team. You can say, well, TJ, man, you tripping. This team is going to suck, but that's on you, man. I don't go into different situations like that. I already told you. I use this as an example. If I start looking around what everybody else is doing and some of the software people have and some of the resources that they use in order to create podcasts, and I just like, oh, man, I ain't got what they got. Let me just stop doing what I'm doing right now. I'm not going to do that, right? I feel like when I turn this live stream button on, when I put the lights on, I feel like I can roll with the best of them. And that's just how I feel. So we don't know what's going to happen. So I would say, like, just have a wait and see approach. If it doesn't pan out, then yeah, you can say, you know what? I had a feeling this was going to happen, but you don't know. You don't know until it happens, man. Teams get better every single year, and some of the issues that the Saints dealt with last season, like bad play calling and lack of offensive innovation, they're trying to fix it. So let's at least like see what it's looking like before we just start jumping off the cliff. The Ravens always get far with a good defense and so offense. Yeah, I mean, look, I think the Ravens for years they were a defensive team. They still are. And of course they got Lamar now because he generates this level of excitement. But it's not like they're going out there just putting up 40 points every single game. They have a physicality about themselves. They run the football. They play the short game for the most part. They'll probably have a downfield explosive play, but a lot of their plays are in between the numbers. So as far as I'm concerned, like you can still win like that. A lot of people just feel like the modern day NFL, it has to look like 60-yard bombs down the field every Sunday. It got to look like Mahomes. It got to look like Jordan Love. It got to look like CJ Stroud. That's how it's got to look, like putting up 30 some odd points. Dak Prescott. They feel like that's what football is, but there's different ways you can be a successful franchise. You don't have to like average 34, 35 points a game in order for you to like generate success. Like how many teams do you see like had a lights out offense win Super Bowls? Like most of the time it always comes down to you playing solid defense, disciplined defense, no matter how good your offense is. So, I'd rather have I'd rather have a really good defense and a 10 to 15 ranked offense, than having a bottom of the barrel defense. Like you're going to have to hope that your offense puts up 30 points every single game if your defense playing like that. Says Michael Thomas suspended on his day off. I don't know. Let me see what exactly happened with Michael Thomas. Let me see. I just hopped on. So I don't know. Let's see. They said that Michael Thomas was issued is suspended week 1. All right. So and this is from Pro Football Talk. It says former Saints receiver Michael Thomas. Let me pull it up on the screen so everybody can see what I see. All right, just bear with me, folks. This is putting it up on the screen. This is courtesy of Pro Football Talk here. Let me know if y'all can see it. All right. Let's see. I'm pretty sure you can. All right. So it says former Saints receiver Michael Thomas remains a free agent. Even if he signs a deal in the coming days, he won't be playing in week 1. The NFL announced that Thomas will be suspended for 1 game via Ian Rappaport of NFL Media. It's a punishment under the personal conduct policy. The discipline stemmed from a November 2023 arrest for simple battery and criminal mischief. He allegedly hurled a brick at the windshield of a construction worker truck at a house in Thomas's neighborhood. He also allegedly knocked the phone from the person's phone and shoved him. Let's see. Thomas set the single season reception record in 2019 with 149. He suffered an ankle injury late in week 1 in 2020 against the Bucs, and his career never got back on track. He missed all of 2021, and he appeared in 3 games in 2022 and 10 in 2023. A 3-time Pro Bowl and 2-time All-Pro in his first 4 seasons, Thomas at one point seemed to be on track for the Hall of Fame. So there you go right there. That's courtesy of Pro Football Talk. Michael Thomas will have to serve a suspension because of the situation that took place in New Orleans. I remember that a few months ago. So it's unfortunate, man, but hey, I mean, it could have been worse. I mean, one game don't sound too bad to me. So if he signs with a team, that means that he's going to have to sit out at least 1 game. Let's see. How did Ken Guard might get suspended? Did he sign with someone? No, they're just saying, like, if he was to get signed with somebody, then he'd have to sit out a game. A good run game equals dominating the time of possession and keeping other high-power offenses on the sidelines, but offense will have to score points. Yeah, I mean, that's true. They have to score points, but I think this offense can score points. I mean, I just think that, it's just going to look different. Yeah, I think it's just going to look different. I think they have the capability of scoring points. I'm optimistic about the season. I'm staying positive. Yeah, I can't get upset about things that I don't know what happened. I don't like, man, I just pride myself too much out of a person that just loves football and breaks down football and analyze football and understand, the game. Like all this stuff, like when people like coming at me about what the Saints gonna look like and they ain't gonna be good, like you don't know what the Saints are gonna do. You don't. You don't know what they're gonna do. You don't know what the team that you're rooting for is gonna do. You don't know until they actually play. And until otherwise, I just feel like they're in a pretty decent position. Are they one of the best teams in the league? Probably not at this time, but I think they can be formidable. I think they can be competitive. Like people acting like this is one of those situations where like they ain't got no hope, like they ain't got no talent on this team at all. Like that'd be one thing. Like if the team didn't have any talent, then I would be like, man, you know what? Yeah, maybe it is going to be a down year. Maybe they aren't going to win more than 3 games. But this is a talented football team. They got talent all across the board and a bunch of prideful veterans. Like these guys aren't going to, these guys aren't going to take this laying down. They're just not. Rather, we want like them in some cases to fail or not. I don't see these guys just laying down for anybody. I don't care who they playing. Hit the like button because you like the commentary. Do not like the video because the team is bad, Jack. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know if the team bad. I don't. I do not know if this team is bad. They haven't played a game. They haven't played a game. I can, my morale can, be a little low because of some of the uncertainties of the team. But I'm not just gonna sit up here and just say, oh man, my team is going to suck. Like, I don't know that. Why are the rumors of Jameis Winston getting traded and we let the dude walk for nothing? If they wasn't going to use him last year, why didn't we trade him during the season? Because they felt like they needed him, just in case something was to happen. They didn't want to put Jake Hayner in the game at that time. So, that's the reason I feel. And that trade rumor was totally untrue. That rumor was totally untrue. I heard that from his people. I don't listen to the Achos and the Stephen A's. Look, those guys are entertaining, but like I said, take that what they do with a grain of salt. These guys are really successful. They got interns and assistants that that stay up at night, give them different type of cliff notes. You got the producers in your ear quoting stats and numbers at you, making sure that you correctly pronounce certain players' names and all these type of things, And when you make mistakes, they tell you, yeah, that person ain't there no more. Or, they're 6'5", 265 pounds. Mention that. They got that in their ear, so they can sound like the smartest people in the world, man. But I'm not taking it away from them. They're really good at what they do. They worked hard to get to the spot that they at, but I don't listen to them for Saints football. I don't. Like, man, y'all don't know more about Saints football than me, and neither does Stephen A. I eat, sleep, and breathe Saints football. I grew up in the city. I've been watching the Saints about as long as, I can remember. So I don't look to them dudes to tell me nothing about no Saints. Honestly, I don't even look at those guys to give me anything about, sports in general. I'll listen to them like, if I'm riding in my car or something like that, and from an entertainment standpoint, because that's what it's about all in all. At the end of the day, it's about trying to entertain people, with these different types of, antics that they pull and, different things that they say. Those guys just trying to get a check and trying to make it in the sports world. So I don't listen to them. Like, I don't take their word as gospel. They probably mean what they say at times, but I don't. Ross said we are going to be third in the division. Well, that's maybe what a lot of people feel. A lot of people may feel that way, but it's just hard for me to just sit up here and just say that this team is just going to fall by the wayside if I haven't seen it yet. And I don't feel like there were any adjustments that were made by any of these other teams in the South that the Saints didn't counteract. And I don't feel like if the Saints played the Bucs today, they wouldn't be competitive in a game and they wouldn't have a chance to win. if they played the Falcons today, they wouldn't have a chance to win. I just don't believe that. I don't. If they play, Carolina, they don't have a chance to win the football game. I don't believe that, man. I just don't. Like, if you was to tell me, like, okay, these guys gonna get steamrolled by every single team in the NFC South, I think you crazy. I think that the Saints are more than likely gonna split with teams. I don't think they're gonna get swept by any team in the South. If they did, that would be a shock to me. Like, it would have to be like something like catastrophic would have to happen. Like a lot of players on the defensive side of football, like on injury reserve or hurt or something like that. Like, I just don't see them like getting swept by any team in the division. I don't. As much as everybody's singing the praise of Atlanta, I feel like Atlanta probably gonna split a game with them. As much as they talk about Tampa, like possibly flirting with the playoffs and possibly winning the division again in some people's eyes, I still feel like the Saints will split the division with them. T going to speak facts every day of the week, man. Look, I'm just telling people how it is, in my opinion. I'm just telling you how I think. Yeah, I can't panic about something that I can't see. I mean, I feel like you stressing yourself out. That's unnecessary stress. TJ, I know the question marks the team has, but I really think we're going on to shock a lot of people, provided we're healthy and not shooting ourselves in the foot. Yeah, I mean, even like King Arthur, even if the Saints do shoot themselves in the foot in some games, I still don't feel like they're going to, like, I still don't feel like they just going to start like just getting steamrolled. I think they got a chance to win like at least 8 or 9 games. I really do. I feel like, and I could honestly see if they play their cards right and they play that lights out defense, man, I can see them winning 10 games. I know that sounds crazy to some folks, but I'm telling you, man, this team, like defensively, they have neutralized some of the best quarterbacks in football. Like, they struggle. Don't get me wrong. When a quarterback can use their feet and move around the pocket and make somebody miss, they suffer because of that. But if you playing against quarterbacks that are considered a stationary target, or rather make play from the pocket with the ability to scramble, and they're not going to scramble that often, but they will if necessary, I think the Saints got a chance. Like, I think they really do 100% have a chance. Yeah, the mainstream loves to push narratives like you sign Kirk Cousins all of a sudden and you're going to win the NFC South. Win the NFC rather. Yeah, look, Derek, I ain't got nothing against Kirk Cousins. I don't. I think Kirk Cousins is talented. I think Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. I don't think he's great. I just don't understand, like, how, I feel this way. We there's no love lost between the Saints and the Minnesota Vikings. But I feel like the Minnesota Vikings are a better organization than the Falcons. I feel like the Minnesota Vikings put Kirk Cousins in a better situation to win than the Atlanta Falcons did when he signed with them. Even though the team on paper looks talented, I don't feel like that. Like, if the Falcons, the way they structure right now, were to play some of the teams that Kirk Cousins was a part of in Minnesota, I feel like those Minnesota teams will probably beat Atlanta. So I don't understand this whole angle about now that he's with the Atlanta Falcons, like all of a sudden they about to be the class of the NFC. I just don't understand it. And I still don't understand I still don't see how people don't look at the fact that Raheem Morris still has to prove himself as a head coach. And just because the players like you and you got swag and you're an African-American coach in a predominantly African-American city, like, that don't mean nothing. And, I'm not afraid to have this conversation, but I think that has a lot to do with the fact, the excitement that the fan base have to have a coach, like I said, in Atlanta, that's a predominantly African-American city, and you have yourself an African-American coach. It generates that level of excitement. So you galvanize around this person because you have somebody, in this case, looks like you, and you want them to succeed. But that ain't good enough, man. Like, you got to be able to win. Like, this guy has a win-loss record, a low percentage win-loss record as a head coach. The last time he coached with the Atlanta Falcons on an interim basis, he was 4-7. I never seen Raheem Morris develop any player in his system defensively as a defensive coach. Even when he was with the Rams, they brought a bunch of players in. They brought in the Jalen Ramseys and the Leonard Floyds and, and had the Aaron Donalds and had all these different proven products, the Ndamukong Suhs. They had those guys already. But you're talking about guys like Tony Anderson and Caden Ellis and all these other young, inexperienced guys you're going to have to develop in your system. And, that's what I'm saying. So I don't understand. Like, every team has question marks. So it's not like Bill Belichick just came up in here and you align with Tom Brady or something. Like, Raheem Morris still has to prove that he can actually win as a head coach. But that's something people aren't talking about, because, I don't know. I guess everybody just kind of got lost in, the optics of what's going on in Atlanta. But, I mean, I think these teams can beat them. Our team isn't going to suck. They're going to slurp. Well, look, I don't know what they're going to do. But whatever they do, I'll adjust accordingly. But I'm not praying for a team downfall. I just can't do it, man. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. It says, if our O-line can play decent, we have a chance to win the division. Ain't no sweeping going on in the South this year besides the Panthers because they're young. Hey, TJ, not an after show boy today. Death on the Wing Sports Podcast. Thank you for being here, man. Let's say I do believe the Carolina game is a trap game. I think Carolina going to be better than a lot of people give them credit for. I said that on the NFC South roundtable, and I said here. I think that team is going to make a lot of noise and going to shock a lot of people. Like, they had a really good defense last year. That offense just didn't do nothing. Does that sound familiar? So you got some weapons on the offensive side of football now, and now you have somebody that I feel like believes in Bryce Young, and that's going to put him in a position to succeed. And Dave Canales, who has a reputation of developing quarterbacks. He has that reputation. He had the reputation of, he the one that resurrected Geno Smith's career. Like, he's the one that resurrected Baker Mayfield's career. So this guy's going into his second season. I'm talking Bryce Young. I mean, he's still young in the league. No pun intended. I think, and he has a really good skill set. 10 games, not crazy with that schedule. Look, we can talk about schedules all day and night, man. Like, we can talk about who they're playing and all that, but man, it wasn't that much degree of separation. Like, it wasn't when the Saints have played some of these teams in the past, like Philadelphia, like, they ain't steamrolling, they just lost. Like Kansas City didn't steamroll them. They lost. Like, what did they lost by? Like 14 points, 10 points or something like that. Like Dallas Cowboys, last time the Saints played them, I think the score was like 12-10 or something. Like, so I'm just wondering, like, we can't just look at teams and be like, man, they got this person, that person, and oh man, we doomed. Well, I probably, I take that back. I want to say when the Saints played the Cowboys before, I think when Drew Brees was on commentary that night. Or was it Buffalo? I can't remember, man. But all in all, like, they can be competitive against these teams, man. They can be competitive against these teams. And if you find yourself in a phone booth game in the fourth quarter, not shooting yourself in the foot as somebody alluded to, like, you can win a football game. I think the Saints are going to win at least one of these football games that people are just saying they don't got no chance of winning. Facts, TJ, the Vikings are a better organization than the Falcons. So to think Kirk Cousins is all of a sudden going to do so well now in Atlanta is funny. I'm just saying, man, like the Falcons, I don't know, man. Their organization is very reactionary. Their organization basically is very copycatish. They steal a lot of ideas, and they hope that it works for them. They're not a better organization than the Vikings are. Like, the Vikings are a top-notch organization. They draft really well. They develop players really well. They don't really overexert themselves when it comes to like certain contracts. Like, and they do a really good job at developing players on the offensive and defensive side of football. So I just don't understand how like Atlanta just feels like they just, world class or something like that, like right now. Like they're not a better organization than that, and they have not put a better team around Kirk Cousins. This isn't the best team Kirk Cousins ever been around, as they trying to make it seem. It is not. Like when you have Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs as your 1 and 2, Kyle Rudolph as your tight end. At one time, you had Dalvin Cook back there. I mean, you had Danielle Hunter, Linval Joseph out that thing. Like, come on, man. Like Anthony Barr, Harrison Smith. Like, man, you had some dogs on this team, man, on the offensive and defensive side of football. So it's not like, like he coming into a situation they ain't never been before. Like they've been trying to feed, trying to give us when it comes to Derek Carr. Like this dude has been on teams that have been championship ready. And you can make an argument that he is the reason why they aren't in a championship. Yes, I just said that. Playing very small. Not being able to play when the bright lights are on at its brightest. Like they got some questions around the Kirk Cousins. Can Kirk Cousins put up 300 some odd yards and 3 touchdowns? Yes. But they got some questions surrounding that. So I don't think that it's just so matter of factly as people try to make it out to be. And teams get better every single year. You can't just go down and look at a schedule and be like, that's a loss, that's a loss, that's a loss. Man, come on. I ain't about to do that to myself. Like we do these things, like, but man, we don't know that for sure. We need to have the best game plan week 1. Like no more playing conservative, make a statement. You got to be able to make a statement, man. Like that's the one thing I feel like will get the fans on board. Here's the reality, Who Dat Nation. People that's watching this right now, sports fans, may not be Saints fans, but just enjoy the content, and I appreciate that. Here's the reality. People are ready to go to the Superdome to boo. Yes, I just said that. People are ready to go to the Superdome to boo this football team because they are not satisfied with the direction that the team is going in. So they are going to be easily triggered. So if you go into this game sleepwalking early, 3 and out, people are going to boo this team out the building. And that is not what you want to hear going into the season. You don't want to hear that. You don't want to set the tone like that. So you want to hit the ground running. You want to make sure that you put together your first 15 scripted plays and those plays work. And don't put yourself behind the 8 ball and have to go away from it because, you find yourself in a hole early. You got to hit the ground running, man. And you got to give people something that they can actually rally behind. I'm going to say this again. People are going, not everybody, but you got a nice little size of individuals that are going to the Superdome. And they, when they look at the first line of trouble, the Boo Birds will be out. So if you don't want to have a season like that and a roller coaster of emotions, a roller coaster ride that, that people don't want to be on, like you might want to hit the ground running and make sure that you put together your best game plan possible. So hopefully you saving all of these good plays and all of this good stuff for the real games, because people going to need to see that. Because I mean, I'm going to the game and I do not want to see this team just getting booed out the building like that. Let's get the SOTS to 12,000 subs by the 12th month. Subscribe now. Yeah, please subscribe if you have not already. And we've been having like a really good response when it comes to the likes and the subscribers now. We've had a really good run this month. We went over 11,000 and now we're getting close to 11,100. But I'm just asking everybody to hit the like button if you have not already. And if you watch this show consistently, please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the subscribe button. But we're going to take a break and we're going to come back after this word from BetUS. Hey, what's going on? It is yours truly, Timothy J. Jones, and I want to say thank you for checking out this video here on the State of the Saints podcast. And I want to let you know this season, the State of the Saints podcast is powered by BetUS. Sign up and save up to 125% on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. Go to BetUS to find out more. The description is down below. So thank you to the fine folks at BetUS. This show is powered by BetUS. Once again, the description is down below. If you want to sign up today, take part in that 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. They got the Saints at plus 400 to win the division, which makes them third. So if you feel like, you want to take the over or the under on that, make sure you go to BetUS. The link is in the description once again. Let me just go ahead and finish up some of these comments here. Jack says week 1 comes down to the running game. If we can't or don't run the ball, Derek Carr is not going to carry us. Well, I think that's the plan, not to have Derek Carr carry you. And you do that by making sure that you play sound defense to keep your offense in the game, just in case, they do struggle. And also being able to set up the play action, something that plays into Derek Carr's strengths. Let's see, Shazam. Doesn't matter if Kurt can stay healthy. They drafted the backup plan. But still, I mean, Michael Penix Jr., he's supposed to be as advertised, but I mean, you don't know what he's going to be. Like, he might come out there looking like CJ Stroud, or he might be coming out there looking like a rookie, like most rookies who be going through the motions. See, we can't get carried away sometimes by looking at outliers. Like, we'll look at guys like CJ Stroud who come into the league and hit the ground running and take the league by storm. Or, Joe Burrow or something like that. Like outliers, like guys that stand out and their numbers are impressive. And what they did is impressive because of the fact that everybody's not doing it like that. And we just automatically just put it into our psyche and we feel like, well, the next rookie, man, that come in, he's going to be doing that. But that ain't true. Like, rookies go through the motions. Like, you're going to see mistakes that are made by guys in year 1 that they probably wouldn't make in year 2. So who's to say? Once again, that's how we feed into these narratives, man. We see the name, we see the game, but we don't take into account some of the ebbs and flows and the highs and lows that they may endure. Like, we don't take that into account. We just automatically feel like they're going to be able to weather the storm based on who they are and the name that's on the back of their jersey. Look, man, you got to play. All right, football is the game of emotion. Like, dudes ain't coming out here, oh, my goodness, Michael Penix, man, he was the guy that threw that dime in the middle of those 2 defenders against Texas in the Sugar Bowl. Like, nobody cares, man. You think people, when Mark Ingram first came in the league, oh, man, he won a Heisman Trophy. Like, nobody cares, man. Like you think they talking about Caleb Williams? Oh man, Caleb Williams. They talking about he has incredible arm strength. He can make all the throws. I guess we about to lose today. No, man, they trying to take this dude head off. Okay, man, I'm about to give this dude the welcome to the NFL moment. This is a prideful league, man. And all these dudes feel like they got something to prove. Right there was the guy that played really good at a small school that felt like he was gypped. He should have heard his name called in some round. A guy who went to a big name school that dropped in the draft because of a scouting report by some guy who probably never played the game. Like, these guys find motivation everywhere. I mean, we seen Demario Davis. He still has his scouting report after 13 seasons in his phone. Caleb Williams, the young kid, he has tweets that he looks at, that he strolls through in his phone. Those guys find motivation, man, to be great. They find motivation to be special. And when you have these guys that's coming in with a lot of fanfare, man, they ain't impressed. They're not impressed. So to say, oh, man, Michael Penix come in after that, who's to say that this dude going to generate some levels of success right away? Now, I think he's going to be a good quarterback. I think that he's going to give, pending, he stays healthy, that he'll give Atlanta some stability at the quarterback position. But I expect for him to have to go through the motions and deal with certain things as a rookie. I don't look at everybody like CJ Stroud. We got to be careful with that. CJ Stroud's come around every now and then. CJ Stroud, as a matter of fact, man, what he's doing, like, didn't really happen. Like, throwing for 4,000 yards. I want to say what he had, like 20, 25 touchdowns, like 8 interceptions or something like that, probably less than that. Like, that's an outlier. Rookies don't start off like that, but they get talked about so much sometimes, with all this information speedway that we own, we have a tendency of not remembering that tree that we passed. We have a tendency of not remembering that house that we passed, or that building that we passed, because we're moving too fast. But this dude is an outlier, man. And everybody ain't coming out the gate looking like C.J. Stroud. So he going to have to prove it. Can he look like C.J. Stroud? Possibly. But we don't know that for sure, do we? Hey, TJ, joining in from PA. Hearing a lot of other podcasters talking about this is a 2-horse race between Atlanta and Tampa Bay. Opinions. Well, yeah, I understand why they're saying that. When you look at the New Orleans Saints, not too much to be excited about, right? Not an exciting team. When you look at coach and quarterback, because that's most of the time where people look at when they want to feel like a team is exciting, right? The Chiefs are exciting because of Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Or, you start looking at the coach and quarterback combination, and it's just what they represent. And, they don't feel like those guys can actually lead the team anywhere. So I can understand why they feel that way. But I said, Adriana, at the beginning of the show, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen until it actually happens. Like, you can have an idea, but even if you come out here and it ends up being true, like, it's still like you just made an educated guess, right? You didn't know exactly what's going to happen. It's like trying to disengage, what I'm saying, cut a red switch or a blue switch on C4 or something, right? You don't know. Like, based on your training, it told me that if I clip this red wire, it'll kill the trigger or something. I mean, you don't know that for sure. Like, you just basically go off what you see. There's a possibility that, you might clip that wire and the whole place might blow. I mean, I hope that ain't the case, but you get what I'm saying. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. We just make these guesses and hope that we right at the end of the day. But all these, the fact about the Saints being, a 5-win team, I hope that a lot of people are wrong. Because even I didn't give them 5 wins. Even I said more than that. TJ, I don't think we need to be out there trying to put up 30, but I definitely think we need to be capable of it, though, for when the defense has an off day. Yeah, I agree, but I think they can find ways to do that. I think they can find ways to do that. Let's see. Shouts out to Matt Swagger. Says for every CJ Stroud, there are 2 Ryan Leafs. Yep. TJ rapping or doing a podcast. Yeah, man. I'm definitely doing podcasts, man. I just like to have fun from time to time. If and flows on highs and lows, bars. Yeah. Well, if I did that, I intentional. Let's see. He's doing both 100. Bobby, the Space Ghost, checking in. Thank you, Bobby, for being here. Please hit the like button. 261 people watching this right now. Please hit the like button. Jack says, we talking about Atlanta backup quarterback like he's starting day one, but our quarterback can't even pick a backup. Well, yeah, our Saints can't pick a backup. Well, look, I don't understand that either. I think he wants Jake Hayner, but I don't know. I don't know why that's happening. I don't. I'm spending time with my dad before he heads back to Kenton, Louisiana. He's doing good. The real OG. Well, shouts out to you and your dad, Jerry. I'm actually about to wrap this up in just a minute. Anyway, man, it's Friday. I'm about to go ahead and do this Gumbo Pie Sports podcast on the other side. Talk about some of those college football games in a minute. And after that, man, I'm going to enjoy my evening after that. Let's see. I feel like teams can look good on paper, but in the trenches, that's where it all counts. To everyone is 0-0. Remember, injuries happen. Yeah, I mean, everybody's 0-0 right now. Everybody's 0-0. Hello, Who Dat family. What's going on, Barbara? Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you, TJ. And no problem. No problem, Jerry. Saints fans just want the coach to say Spencer Rattler is the backup. Yeah, I mean, yeah, probably, or somebody is the backup. Look, I think people just want this guy to make a tough decision, right? I think I did a show a few episodes back about his passive aggressive approach, and I think that's the biggest turnoff for fans. Like they just want this dude to stand on business. I mean, I understand that's not him, right? Yeah, he's a right guy. He's not the guy that's gonna be getting upset and yelling at the referees and all that kind of stuff, like how we see. Like he's just not that guy, right? And I think that people just want to see that some level of aggression. Like people just want to see some levels of aggression from him. And I think that if they were to see that, I think they'll make people, feel a little bit better about him. But it's almost like, he's like the coach that get his chain snatched. Like he's like the chain snatch coach or something. Like, man, give me that chain. All right. Like, you gonna give it back to me? I don't know. I might. All right, but just keep in mind that I give me that chain. Like, come on, man. Like that. I guess that's what people feel. Like they feel like he's like too passive. Like, instead of just picking a winner, everybody winners. To say that somebody is better than somebody else, he rather just, talk about that person, and then the person that he's competing with give the other person a compliment so they can feel special about themselves. Like, I don't know, man. The only person, in my opinion, that he doesn't mind, like really, like standing up and really giving, they're just due. Well, a few guys, Demario Davis, Tyrann Mathieu, and of course Derek Carr. Like everybody else, they got some work. They got some things they need to work on. Like and Mario Davis, he's a great leader and all that kind of stuff. Tyrann Mathieu and really him say anything that he needs to work on. So I don't know. I guess that people just feel like, just keep that energy consistent. TJ, Shadir Sanders, the truth, would love to see him in the Saints black and gold. Yeah, man, Shadir Sanders is the truth, man. I mean, I've always thought Shadir Sanders was a really good quarterback. I already said dude is a smart quarterback. He makes smart decisions. I mean, you throw the ball that many times and complete over 70% of your passes. I just think that a lot of people get turned off with the whole, the primetime thing and the confidence that he carries himself with, right? But you got to be confident to play the quarterback position. But I know this, if he was to get drafted by the Saints, I guarantee you the city will rally behind him. I can tell you that. And that will be their quarterback. But, he has that confidence. He has that aura about himself. And he makes really smart decisions. So anybody that gets that guy, they got themselves a good quarterback. And I've gotten I've watched every single snap of Shadir Sanders' collegiate career. I mean, the 2 years he played at Jackson State, of course, I watched those. And, him going into his second season at Colorado as their quarterback. I watched every snap. And it didn't take me very long to realize that this dude was a smart quarterback. Like, even when he struggled, when he was young, he used to struggle with ball security. He used to fumble the ball a lot. And I used to call him little T-Rex hands because his hand was small. But, he worked every year he got better and better at what he was doing. Rather it was his accuracy, rather it was his timing. So yeah, he's a good football player. I just think that people can't separate the two. They don't like that brash, arrogant type stuff, that comes out of the mouth of Deion Sanders and stuff like that. People want their heroes to look humble or play the part of a humble hero, right? Play that part. Have an ego, but don't let me see it. Let me feel like you want to kiss every kid, you know what I'm saying, and shake every hand of every adult, let me feel that way. Give me that illusion, right? But these dudes, behind the scenes, man, they very confident, they're sure of themselves. They'll say, the necessary things in front of the camera. But, that's just how I feel. I mean, my issue, was just about how you're dishing certain things out and not be willing to take it. That was my issue. If you're going to be dishing stuff out, you got to be willing to take it. You can't be sitting up here talking about, hey, y'all seen what we did against this team. Y'all ain't saying nothing now, and then turn back and lose. And then people start asking you questions about that. And then all of a sudden, oh, y'all picking on me. Nah, bro. That's my issue. And also the fact that you won very good last season, which is justified for people to question if can you lead this football team anywhere. Most of us know why he's protecting Carr. That's why he isn't trying to pick a quarterback at number 2. Could be. Anyone know what the Mike T suspension is about? Was it about the altercation last season with the construction worker? Yeah, Dark Side, it was. That's what it was about. That was what it was about, man. TJ, no one respect Dennis Allen. I think the players do. I think the players in the locker room do, but from like the mainstream, no, they don't. Like they don't respect him. All I know is DA and DC better not be going into Atlanta kissing babies and fraternizing with the enemy. They said they already were out of pocket, dapping up Bates in the first game and apologizing to them in the second. Well, yeah, Tyrell, I really feel like maybe they don't need to do that. They don't need to do that. I think they need to understand what the robbery is. I think they need to understand there's no love lost. I mean, every coach, I don't care how bad the coach was, they understood about the Atlanta week. They understood about that. Like up there apologizing to Arthur Smith, like, come on, man, give me a break. Now he is the best we have. We let Rice go to Atlanta, lose feathers because Loomis cap BS. Yeah, I mean, I like Monty Rice, but come on, man. I mean, you had Anthony Orgy, DeMarco Jackson, Willie Gay, Andrew Dowell, who has shown that he's a really good special teams guy. I mean, kind of got lost in the shuffle, and I can kind of understand why they let him go. That's some talented guys that's in front of them, man, that really showed flashes and really took advantage of their opportunity. So I can't get mad at that. Once again, please hit the like button if you enjoyed the show. I'm going to read a few more, and then we're going to go ahead and get up out of here. It says, I enjoyed watching the round table, but 12-5, really Atlanta dude be tripping. Y'all be going at it. Yeah, Mr. Rob, man, that's my dude right there. Shouts out to Birdo, man. He like Birdo is a really confident guy. Like he knows what he's talking about. Like for the most part, I didn't agree with him. Like I like Birdo. Like me and Birdo, like I feel like if me and Birdo did a podcast together, it'd probably be one of the best podcasts that people watch as far as when talking about the NFC South. Because he gives his opinion, but he's willing to accept like his team's imperfections if you make compelling argument versus somebody that's trying to try to find a way to wiggle out of a situation. Like he'll concede. Now he'll fight for what he believes in. Because if you look at the most recent roundtable that came out today, I'm asking everybody to check it out. New episode out, youtube.com, search NFC South Roundtable. Like you'll see, man, like, he'll go back and forth with you, so, but yeah, I mean, that's the way he feels. And a lot of people feel like, that the Falcons are going to be a 12-win team. They feel like they're going to win this division and, and look impressive doing so. But I don't agree. Like I had the Saints going 10-7 on that show. Do I feel that way? I feel like this. When I'm doing, and I'll get to you, Corey. When I'm doing that show, I speak from a place where I would like the Saints to go. At the same time, it's attainable. Like I'm not going to be like way out of this world or something like that. When it comes to like the taste, like I'm not going to sit up here and say, "Oh, Derek Carr gonna win MVP" or something like that. Like nothing that extreme. But I can make compelling arguments as to why like the Saints could find themselves like in the thick of things late in the season when you need that playoff push. I can do that. And I try to do that as often as I can there on that show. I'm sticking to it. Rattler should start over Carr. Well, a lot of people feel that way, but I don't know, man. I'm not ready to rush this dude out there. If he has an opportunity to sit on a bench and become better than what he already is now, like I ain't got no problem with that. Like, it's not like one of those situations where the Saints are like seriously a Super Bowl contender. Like Corey, if that was one of those situations, I'd be like, okay, man, give him a shot. But you have a team that is going through the motions, going through a little bit of a transition here. So why put a guy out there when he probably can make some plays, but probably not going to make plays that he would make in his second year, in his first year. So why not let him sit down? Like, why try to push him out there? Like, I get it, the excitement of the Saints fans, but if this guy gets it all together, you can be cheering for this guy for years to come. So I wouldn't be trying to rush the guy out there. Like, even if he does like generate some level of a spark, you know, I still don't feel like he would be the best version of himself going into year 2 than going into year 1. Like, there's something there. We all can see it. But I definitely feel like, you know, some time on the bench, waiting in the wings and developing and learning the process of becoming a pro and learning the ins and outs, right? The film watching and, you know, and the little things that it takes, the training. I feel like that stuff is going to pay dividends. You know, a lot of us don't remember the on the bench, and his first game was a meaningless week 17 game in his rookie season, right? Because Alex Smith was the quarterback at the time. And Kansas City, they actually were, I want to say they was like a 1 or a 2 seed that year with Alex Smith. So I don't know, man. I think that time actually worked for him. And then when he came into the game, like his second season, he took the league by storm. You know, this called me old-fashioned, man, but, you know, once upon a time, like, young quarterbacks used to do that. They used to have the seasoned veteran go out there and play. Then the young, inexperienced guy hold a clipboard and learn how to become a professional. And then if the team decides to move on from that veteran or that veteran retires, you got somebody waiting in the wings and the game isn't going too fast for them. They understood what it takes. They took the mental reps. They took the snaps that could be taken in practice. So I'll just say, man, hold your horses. Like, when it comes to this guy, it's not like the Saints are on the verge or on the cusp of a championship or something. Oh, by changing it to Spencer Rattler, like, that's going to put them over the hump. Like, I feel like in some cases, we only want Spencer Rattler out there because of who he is and the excitement that he brings. It's not even about, oh, man, he going to win a bunch of games. I can't even say that. I feel like there are going to be some throws in the game that he's going to make that's going to make you say, wow, absolutely. Is there going to be times where you feel like he belongs out there and you made the right decision? Absolutely. But there's going to come a time where, you know, maybe sitting on the bench would have paid dividends for him. So I'm not trying to, like, have him out there for the simple fact of just having him out there because I can say, man, look, that's my quarterback right there. You see him? Like, we got Spencer Rattler. Like, let that man sit on a bench, and I guarantee you, like, if he develops into the quarterback that we know that he can be, you'll be excited for years to come. I'm good. I'm good. I can wait on this moment. You know, I can wait on this moment. Like, I get it. Like, a lot of us right now, I use this example. We got the Buzz Lightyear complex, right? Woody was his favorite toy, right? He was Andy's favorite toy. He was inseparable. He loved him. You know what I'm saying? Then all of a sudden, Buzz Lightyear came in with his lasers and his buttons and his wing extension and, you know, and all that kind of stuff. You know, like, all of a sudden, you know, Woody in a toy box. Like, we like the shiny new toy, but at the same time, man, like, you know, he got to understand that he is a toy. You know, he got to understand he part of that group. You know what I'm saying? He got to learn, right? Just like Buzz Lightyear, he thought he was actually that dude. You know what I'm saying? He thought he was actually Buzz Lightyear, right? It took some time for him to realize that, you know, he was, Woody and like all the rest of them. Like, sometimes, you know, you want these guys to get out the gate and be everything you want them to be. But, you know, when they not, that's why I feel like it's unfair, because if they not everything you want them to be right off the rip, then you ripping them to shreds. Oh, I thought they were it. Well, what would have happened if they would have had some time to maybe develop? What would have happened if, you know, the fans didn't overreact and trying to rush the guy out there on the field? Let him cook, man. Like, you know, let him cook. Let him marinate. You know, let him marinate for a good little minute, and I guarantee you that meal gonna taste good. I'm love watching your show, TJ. Been watching since 2021. I listen in the shower while I'm walking and even at school sometimes. Man, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate it. You know, I appreciate everybody. Like, any place, anywhere that you watch the show, I really, or listen to it, I really appreciate it, man. You know, that's extremely humbling to me. And I'm not just saying that to say it. Like, you know, I thank y'all for that. You know, because y'all can be listening or watching something else. So I appreciate it. Thank you for that. Michael, thank you very much for the 199. I really do appreciate that. I think they got Caboti back Thursday. Yeah, he's on the practice squad right now. Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes, Brett Favre, and Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love. Let them sit and learn. With the opportunity comes, he will be ready. Brock Purdy said. Well, to a certain extent, Brock Purdy said, but yeah, I get you. I get what you're saying. Saints fans love something new. Yeah, I mean, they love something new, but you know, yeah, sometimes I don't think they accept the explanation as to why that something new doesn't come into the game or it doesn't happen right away. You know, like we have this, you know, sometimes we overreact when we see something good, right? You know, it's like that, you know, I don't know. It's like a good soda or something, or, you know what I'm saying, a good beverage, or, you know, like you get that good little, you know, taste to it. Like, man, you know, I want to try that again, or that food. Like you want it, you know what I'm saying? You want that same feeling that you had, you know, time after time after time. But you know, like sometimes like you gotta wait. You gotta wait for it. Like I know he's good, but I don't think he's everything he can be. And I want him to be everything that he can be before, you know, before he gets out there. Even if that means like if the season going awry and he sit there for like 6 or 7 weeks or something like that, then he come into the game. Then at least you know you set for a while and you kind of see and kind of understand the highs and have a grasp and a concept of the playbook enough for you to be able to do a little something. I'm for sitting Rattler, but I just can't see Carr putting us in a position to even make the playoffs. I can't in Carr. Yeah, I look, Linda, I say this. I think that Derek Carr can do enough to help the Saints make the playoffs, but you're not making the playoff because of Derek Carr. Like you need a supporting cast. I use the example of Seinfeld, like how Seinfeld was a concept. Jerry Seinfeld was a comedian who didn't really have any acting experience. They wanted to do the show with him, so they aligned him with Julie Louis-Dreyfus, who played Elaine. George, who was played by Jason Alexander, and Michael Richards, who was played by Kramer. They were all classically trained actors and actresses who had experience on Broadway, had experience like doing these different things throughout time. So they aligned them around them, and that show became a phenomenon in the process. So you have to like put pieces around Derek Carr. Like you got to put pieces around him in order for him to work. He can't be like he can't be like the main reason. Like he got to be like a cog on the wheel or something like that. You got to put a supporting cast around him. I think you do that, you can find some success. And I will say, you know, there can be a game where if he needs to drive the team down the field or, you know, throw a pass in order to, you know, to kill a clock, he can do that. I mean, we've seen him do this before. We've seen him do it at least a couple, you know, once or twice with the Saints. So to say that he can't do it, you know, he can, but you're not going to want him to do that every single time. TJ, you watched Colorado last night, called me crazy, but Shedeur should be a top 15 pick. I think Shedeur Sanders should have been a top 15 pick before like that game even took place. Like I tell you, people like just kind of get lost in the whole Deion Sanders is his dad type thing. And, you know, people kind of get turned off because Deion Sanders marched to the beat of his own drum, do whatever he want. And people feel like, oh, man, they need to have rules. But this dude has always been good. Like, he's always been talented. Like, he's always been talented. It didn't take that game last night for me to see that. And honestly, man, like, if you want to keep it a buck, he put a game up like that the first game of the season against TCU last year. I mean, honestly, that game kind of happened the same way. You had Shedeur Sanders throwing for a bunch of yards, and I want to say he threw for like 4 or 5 touchdowns. Travis Hunter, who had like 2 touchdowns, and I want to say he had an interception. Like they started the season just like that, had everybody all hyped up and all excited, and then, you know, back down to earth they went. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I've been new, you know, that dude was a top 15 pick. Like it's pretty pretty obvious how talented he is as a quarterback. Put pieces around him that have the money, and we overpay him. Yeah, I mean, based on like the modern day NFL pay structures, nah, you ain't overpay him. You know, but my thing is like you probably could have gotten a quarterback that was equal to or did a little bit more than what his production entailed as a quarterback. You could have got anybody that could have kept you afloat for the most part and missed the playoffs. He had that in his last year with the Raiders, and it still didn't work. Yeah, I mean, but their defense wasn't that good. Like the Raiders defense just got good, like seriously, like last year. Like their linebacker group is very underrated. Of course, you know, they got Max Crosby and now they got Kristen Wilkins. They're out there now too. You know, you got Tyree Wilson, you know, the rookie out of Texas Tech, like he's out there as well. Man, you got Diablo, the linebacker out there. I mean, they got some talented guys on that defensive side of football for the Raiders. But it wasn't like that when he was out there for real. Like they were just starting to kind of figure out what they were, you know, and they kind of like, you know, came on and became like a really talented, formidable defense when he left. Lattimore is a generational corner. People better appreciate dude while he's here. Yeah, I think they should, you know, and I think that, you know, you've done really good at drafting some of these really good, talented, fundamentally sound corners. But all in all, man, my final thought is John Ridgeway III signing with the New Orleans Saints with the interior. I think that was a good idea. I forgot to mention this, Austin Decklis. Some of you know who he is, especially if you're in the Louisiana area. Austin Decklis played more games than any other player in LSU history. Went to LSU back in 2017. Played there to 2021. Of course, like, you know, he had that COVID year. He took advantage of that, played an extra year. He was drafted in the 6th round back in 2022 by the Houston Texans. Played for them for about a season, got picked up last year by the Jets, was on their practice squad. Didn't really now, you know, he's with the New Orleans Saints. You know, a guy who played a lot of snaps, a guy that can play across your offensive line. You know, I think he's somebody that you can add to your practice squad. Maybe, you know, have him in your system, develop. Maybe he can be one of those swing offensive linemen that you can have during game day. And, you know, let's see what's happening. You know, I feel like this is the route that you want to go. Austin Decklis is 25 years old. He's a young 25. He just turned 25 in March. So this is another young guy that you have on your team, you know, instead of going out here getting a 30, 31-year-old veteran. Seems like the Saints are trying to get younger. I want to say the average was like 27, close to 28 years old last year. Now they're down to, you know, a young 26-year-old roster right there, like 26.4 or something like that. It's like something like really, really low. So you got yourself some young talent on this team that you can actually develop. And I think that what the Saints are trying to do is they're trying to get guys that are more, I would say, DA friendly. Is rather, you know, they weren't really around this team like when the Saints were, you know, winning and had success with Sean Payton. You have a few guys that were there, but for the most part, you know, Dennis Allen is their first coach. You know, this is Dennis Allen's team when they come here. So they have this understanding about falling in line. And you're basically getting stories, and they sound like old war stories because you weren't there. So I think that that's kind of beneficial to Dennis Allen, not having a bunch of guys on the team that can kind of undermine you or maybe feel a certain way about how the team is going because they remember some of the success. And like I said, you have a few guys on the team that were there when the Saints were rolling. You know, Alvin Kamara, Cam Jordan, Demario Davis, Marshawn Lattimore. Like some of these guys were there, but you know, you have a lot of these guys, they don't remember when the Saints was constantly making the playoffs or winning double-digit games each year. So they feel like they're on an uphill battle. Like it's crazy to believe, but Chris Olave has never stepped foot in the playoffs. Right? I don't think as Paulson Adebo, he has been to the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. Wait, has he? I don't even know if he's made the playoffs. No, I don't think he has. No, he hasn't. No, he didn't. He never made. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like A lot of these guys never made the playoffs. Like, because I want to say Paulson came in 2021, right? And the Saints missed the playoffs because, that was the game where he had those 2 interceptions. He had that one-hand snag. That was his rookie year. So, I mean, a lot of these guys that we're counting on to win football games, they don't know what it's like to have success in the playoffs. So all they know is Dennis Allen. So that's kind of what I feel like what the Saints are trying to do. They're trying to make this team Dennis Allen friendly here. So you have a bunch of guys that's going to fall in line of, they feel like they're going to feel the wrath of Dennis Allen versus somebody that probably know that there's levels to what's actually going on, like a Cam Jordan or something, but they're not going to say anything because they want to be leaders and they want to be guys that these young guys can follow. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the Saints are going to do. I'm excited. We're going to be going into Saints game week, man. That is crazy, man. The next time, like, we really, talk after this weekend, this will be the last weekend without NFL football for a while, man. That's insane. But we're finally here, folks. All the speculation and all the what ifs are all going to come to an end when these guys collide throughout this, 18-week, 17-game season. So I'm looking forward to seeing this. I'm looking forward to giving it to you all every single week here on the State of the Saints podcast. The good, the bad, the ugly, the highs and the lows. Hopefully there are more highs than lows. But regardless, we're going to be right here giving it to you, talking New Orleans Saints every single week. But this has been the State of the Saints podcast. I ask that you hit the like button before you leave. And also you can follow me on X at TJAYJones8. For those that want to, you can come on over to the Gumbo Pod Sports podcast. Not going to be on podcast at all. Just going to be talking a little bit about some of the college football games that took place on Thursday. Talk a little bit about Brandon Ayuk's new contract. Some people feel like it was a waste of time. Nothing changed about the contract. He basically walked around and pouted and stuck his lip out and made people feel uncomfortable all to sign a contract that they've been trying to give him for months. We're going to be talking about that. But come on over, man. Bring your questions. I try to, stay away from some of the Saints questions. Not the fact that I don't want to talk about it, but, when you're trying to talk about general sports, you want to kind of just talk about, different things. Like if it kind of what's going on goes into the mainstream, then, maybe we can talk about it. But I don't want it to be completely saturated with that. That's why we have this podcast, right? But thank you all so much. Really do appreciate it. Once again, hit that like button. And until next time, all I got to say is, who dat?
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. There's all dog around this mug. I'm good.